Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Kaiser here. Today's video is on strategic archetypes, which is tempo today. It's a series I want to do which explains different types of strategies used by really advanced players. But the only strategy I'm going to cover today is the one I use currently in my team because my team is really well suited to use it, which is tempo. I'll explain to you what it is, what can it do for you, and how to use it properly, and if you're an opponent, how to prepare against it. So if you're new to the concept of tempo, think of snakes and ladders. You remember that game you used to play when you were a kid, where you roll the dice and you have to climb all the way to the top. You reach the top, you win. And if you hit a ladder, you can climb really fast. But if you hit a snake, you fall down. Tempo is a similar concept of snakes and ladders, where instead of using chance to decide whether you go up or not, tempo is where you strategically put the snakes and ladders in the game. Your goal is to slow down your enemy. Imagine both of you are racing to the finish line. Both of you are really good runners. Your goal is to throw mud on the floor, slow them down just a little bit so that it looks to them as if that they have a small disadvantage against you. But at the very same time, you never let go of the pressure. You never let go of that advantage till the very end of the game. And it feels as if they can never ever outpace you, and it feels as though it's very frustrating because like how is he always one step ahead of me? So think of Muhammad Ali, when he's in the ring and he's fighting, he dodges all his hits, the hits dealt to him, or most of the hits dealt to him, and he counters when it's the right time, and the opponents feel like they're just hitting air, they just cannot hit him, and they're wasting their breath, they're wasting their everything, all of their strategy. Tempo plans to be just like that, to be one baby step ahead of the enemy all the way to the finish line. So if you see these 4 cards, these are my 4 pillars in why tempo works in my team, in my lineup. These 4 cards help me determine the pace of which my enemies are going and if I can speed up ahead of them by slowing them down. And let's look at all these 4 cards, starting with Nemo. Nemo is such a simple card. So simple. 0 cost, it heals for 15 HP, any ally you target, including summons, and it gives you 1 energy. Now the question is, how does it work in tempo? Now, we all know that it heals, it gives you energy, everyone knows that. But here are the intricacies of healing. HP gain can sometimes make opponents miscalculate combat damage, especially when it comes to hitting you. If you can mess up the calculation of combat damage, just one small mess up, your goal is just to make the opponent miscalculate 1 hit, and 1 hit is all it takes for you to gain a small advantage. Let me give you an example. Let's just say your AXIE is on 80 health, you heal him by 15 and it's now 95 health. You're out of Shoal Star range, they cannot one-shot kill you. I lost the game once because I had the option to heal but chose not to, and then I just got hit by a Shoal Star and then I immediately regretted my decision. Or if you're from 40 HP to 55 HP, suddenly 1 revenge card cannot just kill you out of nowhere. They cannot just conveniently use a revenge card to take you out. They have to use an attack card, and it might be their only attack card in hand. Maybe the point I'm trying to make is, if your enemy needs only 1 card to take you down, with this Nemo at the right time, timing is very important. They now need 2 cards to take you down. The goal is just to be 1 step ahead, even though it's a baby step. And once you're ahead, you'd never let go of the pressure, you'd never let go of the momentum. It doesn't even cost energy. Let's look at the second card, Kestrel. Kestrel is a 1 cost energy card, and if it's the first card you use in your turn, you can disarm your opponent for 2 rounds. Disarm would mean they cannot use any attack card whatsoever on that AXIE, on that specific AXIE. Now, how does this work in tempo? If your opponent is disarmed in a 1v1, they cannot use attack cards on that specific AXIE. You can use revenge cards, skills, secrets. Think like this. If your HP is 151 or above, you will not die to 3 revenge cards, because revenge cards only deal 50. Assuming your opponent is only on 3 energy, they don't have like Shady Exchange or whatnot, they don't have Nemo Tail or whatnot, and that's all they have. And you don't have any like vulnerable or anything. Just a pure 1v1, everyone's clean, and you disarm them. They cannot beat you. What if it's in a 2v1? Yes, 1v1 Kestrel is amazing. How about a 2v1? How about a 3v1? There are moments where you can get lucky and your opponent draws a lot of their attack cards or all of their attack cards on the disarmed AXIE. It doesn't always happen, but when it happens, you will think to yourself, why is this guy doing nothing? Why is this guy just passing the turn? Back to the concept of slowing an opponent down and gaining baby steps of advantage. If it takes 2 cards to kill you, from 151 to 0, let's just say each card is 70 damage or whatnot, Now it takes 4 attack cards if disarmed, 3 revenge cards, and 1 attack card. And not even on the same turn. It has to go 2 turns. So in essence, 2 rounds. What about early game? Is Kestrel good early game? Yes. It's still good early game. Kestrel can mess up your opponent's first few moves. What if their first move was an attack card on the disarm AXIE? Suddenly you didn't lose health, so you preserved your health on your front line. You're gonna see this later in the showcase. I will have 2 clips for you later for you to really look at how much advantage tempo brings you through these cards, especially through Kestrel. And the goal, like always, is to be 1 step ahead. Your opponent might not feel it at first, but these things stack up, especially to these 4 pillars of tempo. Let us look at the third one, Babylonia. I have been waiting for a long time to talk about this card because I really love this card. I fell in love ever since I bought that summer AXIE and it has Babylonia on it. It costs 1 energy, it deals 60 damage. Very simple, very simple. And it applies weak for 4 turns. What is weak? Weak is a debuff status on your enemy. It gives them a 20% attack reduction. 20% reduction in attack damage from the affected AXIE. So you might ask me, how does it work in a tempo strategy? Like, why is it important if you're trying to imply tempo on your enemy? Well, it dampens the damage from your opponents. So every attack from them is now significantly nerfed. And each of their attacks, they might miscalculate, they might mess up their math to the point they can't even kill you with certain cards. Hypothetically, if your HP is 100, you're 100 HP, okay? Just think about it, 100 HP. Let's make it even easier. If your life is 120, you will need, if you're an opponent, you will need 3 70 damage attack cards to take out 120 HP AXIE if you're weakened. Why? Because if you're a 70 damage and if you're weakened, you only deal 56. Therefore, you need 3 of these 56 damage to take off 120 HP AXIE. And weak lasts for 4 turns. It's not just 2 turns. So when it comes to early game, Babylonia keeps your frontline AXIE happy and healthy, keeps them alive longer. And if your frontline AXIE uses a leftover potion, wow, it's so good. Chef's kiss. Especially if you don't have that much money to begin with and you're on a budget, so good. If you're late game, when it comes to really late game, it creates a good 1v1 scenario. Let's just say your midline is about to die and your midline has Babylonia to apply weak on your opponent. Just hit your opponent with a weak. It lasts 4 turns anyway. And if your midline dies, then it's down to the 1v1. You're in a very good spot because your opponent cannot finish the job in 1 turn unless they are on Fury mode. I can't think of any other situation where your opponent can finish you off in 1 turn and they are significantly weak and you are healthy. Your life is full. I'm not sure. If you have a clip, you can show me because I like to be proven wrong also. Weak is a 4-turn thing, so it synergizes well with Kestrel because if you Kestrel a person for 2 turns, weak still lasts for the remaining 2. So it's pretty good. It's not like, oh, I disarm him and then I weaken him. Oh, wasted. He's weak but he cannot hit. No, there's a reason why weak is 4 turns, not 2 turns. There's a reason why Babylonia and cards similar to it like lagging is good. And your opponent's damage is significantly nerfed for 2 rounds. If you have weak and you have Kestrel. Maybe the true essence of tempo is that you tease your opponent. You make it seem to him or her that she or he is winning. You make it seem to them that they have a chance, and that small hope they have might lead them into making really bad decisions on the battlefield. And when they mess up, that is where you step in and you're like, okay, you made a mistake, okay, I'm gonna go on you, I'm gonna go full blast. Let us move on to the final pillar of tempo, Mavis. Mavis is as straightforward as it can get when it comes to card abilities. 1 energy cost skill, it summons a Mavis. And what is a Mavis? It's a small bird. And that small cute bird has 18 health. It loses 8 health at the end of your turn. So in theory, a Mavis can last for 2 turns before it dies. 2 rounds before it dies. What benefit does it give you? It reduces one of your attack cards by 1 energy cost. That means it discounts a random attack card in your hand by 1 energy. Okay, yeah, you know about this, right? But how does it work? How does it work in a tempo strategy? You could put it at the back line and you can use blackmails on it and it will make your opponent so angry. Or you could put it in front of your AXIE. Take 1 hit, soak up 1 revenge card attack. Soak up 1 really powerful attack from your opponent. Imagine they needed all these 3 attack cards to just nice kill you, and then you put a Mavis in front of them so they don't have enough damage to take you out. Oh, I love it. Pisses them off. Sometimes Mavis can also bait out a Perch. Perch's innate ability says that it deals 4 hits of 30 damage per hit, but to a unit with the lowest HP. And Mavis, oh man, it only has 10 HP. It'll definitely take the hit from Perch. If your opponent makes such a big mistake, yes, Perch will attack it. Or some random targeting attacks, cards like Rosa, cards like Kotaro, the eye is the one which randomly hits someone and gives them death mark. Random targeting attacks can sometimes target your Mavis, and this is good. This is very good for you, especially if those random attacking attacks have really bad consequences. Rosa puts you to sleep. Kotaro gives you death mark. Now think of it this way in a 1v1. If you use Castrol already and your AXIE is on 101 HP and you put a Mavis in front of you, you can be super sure that your opponent cannot kill you. Think of it this way. A Mavis is equivalent to 50 health. If it soaks up damage, it soaks up all of the damage. There's no excess damage dealt. So think of your bird with 50 health, and it can soak up one revenge card. The other 2 revenge cards go to your 101 HP. You're left with 1 HP, you can keep going. Your opponent cannot kill you in 1 round, assuming he only has 3 energy and the usual. If you have seen my previous video on card draw sequencing, especially with Goldfish, Mavis helps you sequence your draws better as well by reducing the cost of those card draw cards, for example, Goldfish or early bird. By reducing it to 0 cost, suddenly helps you smoothen out your hand and your draws, especially your attacks. Keeps them coming. It keeps them energy efficient, and it pushes the advantage from small advantage like baby step advantage to big advantage if you can land your Mavis with correct timing. And you've definitely seen all these YouTube clips on people healing their Mavises. It is a valid strategy. It is. You keep your Mavis alive so that the bird can give you even more value. So when is Mavis best used in this strategy? When your opponents do not have any AoE cards, or they do not have Energy Guru. Then they cannot punish you for summoning Mavis. They have to groan the back of their seat seeing your Mavis, and then you keep the Mavis alive. Let us conclude. Tempo is perfect against aggressive opponents. Yes, you heard it from me first. Tempo is a strategy I use to beat aggro because when they are really fast, you have to slow them down. And once you slow them down, oh, the world's your oyster. Tempo strategy is bad against sustain teams, reflect teams, in an essence poison teams, and also blood moon teams, because these teams don't care if you slow them down. They want to be slow. They are heading for the blood moon. In essence, tempo is an art. It's a line of play. It's not a deck composition. It is not a team building strategy. It is a strategy you use when you are playing the game. Yes, sometimes it mixes, sometimes it converges. Sometimes the team you're building has to work for tempo. Tempo is more of like a concept for you to understand. If you can understand that concept of tempo, and you can change your playstyle when facing your opponents, I'm confident you can take your game to the next level. Let us go into our first showcase. Okay, my opponent is playing a curse team? Curse aggro? Yeah, curse aggro team. Is my opponent playing a tempo team just like me? I don't think so. I don't think so. So I led with a Castrol first, because always lead with a Castrol. You have nothing to lose, and they have so much more to lose. And what I did is just the usual, digging through my deck, hoping to get more things from my draw pile. So watching this replay, I noticed my opponent actually was affected by the Castrol. I used Babylonia to weaken him, and then an early bird. I used Babylonia because I know I'm not able to finish him on that turn, so I need to weaken him just in case he will to deal damage to me. And okay, pay attention to the 46 damage dealt. It's not much, right? It's just 46 damage. But because he's weakened, he couldn't deal a lot of damage that I am very low on health. Therefore, when you look at this right now, look at this situation. I'm on 45 health on my front line. If with the leftover potion, I go above 50, and with one heal, So now I pause. I'm pausing so I can explain to you what's going on. My opponents, look at the damage. There's a 66, a 70, a 75. Maximum damage dealt 75. With the bonus, that will be probably 80. 4% of max HP end of turn. So if I have 360 health times 4%, I'll heal 14 health at the end of turn. 14 plus 67 is about what, 81? So I could summon the Mavis, I could pass a turn, but I decided to heal with my Cottontail. And I gain an extra energy for that. The energy is wasted. It's okay. I needed the health because I want my enemy to waste more cards. And I go up to 96. Now let's see what my enemy let's see what the opponent does. He hits me for 93 damage card. I didn't die from one hit. I had to die from 2 hits. And maybe you're thinking, oh, that's nothing. My opponent managed to do the job. He managed to kill my front line. That's not the point of tempo. The point of tempo is to make my opponent be very inefficient with his attacks. And as you can see now, that small advantage has led me to kill the midline. And he summoned the Mavis at the back. If I were the opponent and I need to survive, I would summon the Mavis in front. Because of this, I'll just castrate him. What can he do now? His Mavis is useless, reducing his attack cards to 0. It's fine, he can't use it. And you can start to see that now the advantage is building up. Well, it's very unlucky he got revenge cards in the first place. Back to my turn. Now we're in the 1v1 and I have a very big advantage over my opponent. And instead of summoning the Mavis at the back, I summon my Mavis in front. 2 reasons. 1, I don't want Jinx to kill my Mavis. The 15 damage from Jinx. 2, I want it to absorb that 81 damage. You see that 81? He could have killed me with that damage. It's crazy damage. And I ended the game triumphantly, having a big advantage over my opponent. Let us go to the next one. Okay, my opponent here is really similar as well. His front line's main job is just to heal and tank as much damage as possible. Whereas the mid line's goal is just to eggshell, taunt, and also taunt. So their team plan, oh, they have 2 earth stamps and a feather fan. Okay, their pigeon post and their little owl is definitely going to go to the front for sure, regardless of anything. Okay, let's see what he does. Let post fight. My opponent's plan is to taunt juggle, where he uses an egg on his mid line, and the next round he uses an egg on his back line. So he gets to disperse the damage dealt to all his axes, keeping them alive for a very long time. Very cool. You notice he made sure his hand was empty, and hair was the last card in his hand before he used hair. Very smart of the opponent to draw cards. Okay, if you notice here, I wanted to show you my discard pile, but this is the replay from my opponent's perspective, so the discard pile is useless, ignore that. I wanted to show you my discard pile, but it's okay. Okay, so I swallowed, I used a Mavis, and I healed up. I used a goldfish, it drew me into a shoal star, and I cottontail into a shoal star. This is one of those rare moments where goldfish and Nemo and cottontail really gave me like so many bullets to shoot my enemies with. Okay, so I led with Castrol. Always lead with Castrol. Castrol's amazing. Cupid, and then a Mavis. I could Little Owl, but then I really want the value for Mavis. And I put my Mavis there because if he uses Pigeon Post on me, my Mavis will be still alive next round, right? Next turn. So next turn I'm just going to use my Blackmail. Oh, perfect. Played into my strategy there. So now I have Blackmail. I can put the Blackmail on my bird. Currently the situation is a bit neck and neck because, oh, so lucky to get back his energy. Okay, my opponent is smart this time. He's putting a Mavis in front of himself. So now it's a 1v2. Okay, now it's a 1v1. If you notice, the weak status is making his little owl deal lesser damage than what he expected to deal, which allowed me to be healthy enough to take the win. It's these small things actually. Okay, before we end this video, I want to show you what I've crafted. Today, let's just say today is my last day of crafting. Crafting is too addictive. Ooh, Gecko Mask. Gecko Mask is good. Okay, let me refill my SLP. One last time, guys. I promise. One last refill and one last crafting session for this season. I don't have any more material. Let's go. Focus. Ooh, Beast Power, Pure Power, Beast Vitality, and a Charm of Endurance. Well, that is it. I hope you guys learned something new. I hope you guys can take tempo and use it when you're playing in the arena. If you like this video, please remember to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys again soon. Take care.